Thoughts live from London now. Marcus Papadopoulos is there. He's publisher and editor of Politics First magazine. Marcus, good evening. Now that Turkey's authorised cross-border armed operations, how's that going to change the country's role in the Syrian conflict now, do you think?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's important for us to take this opportunity to express our condolences to the victims of what appears to be a tragic accident that occurred yesterday. However, I don't think it's fundamentally going to change Turkey's position on this conflict. I think it's more of a symbolic message. It's more of a way of appeasing certain sections of Turkish society, in particular the nationalist section and, of course, the powerful military. However, Turkey does not want a full-scale conflict with Syria. It certainly can't afford it. I think what the development today by the Turkish Parliament authorising cross-border incursions into northern Syria demonstrates that the conflict in Syria has the potential to ignite the entire region into one big fireball, and it would consume parts of Turkey. And I think Turkey is very well aware of this. But I would like to add something else as well, that the decision by Turkey today, it is representative of how consecutive Turkish governments pursue very aggressive foreign policy objectives. We had last year and this year the Turkish government threatening the Republic of Cyprus government because the Cypriot government found natural oil and gas reserves in its exclusive economic zone. So I think today is more about appeasing certain sections of Turkish society. It's more symbolic, but on a more worrying note, it demonstrates once again how our Turkish government pursues aggressively foreign policy objectives.
Well, we've also seen this kind of things in recent history books as well. Not forgetting, of course, Turkey making a similar move regarding northern Iraq, didn't it, where its military hunted for Kurdish militants. How different is that from what Syria's doing, i.e. pursuing suspected terrorists over the Turkish border?
Well, the Syrian government, being the only legitimate administration in Syria, has every right to pursue terrorists on its territory. However, there's a difference. It pursues terrorists on its territory. It has not threatened to go into Turkey, where the world knows there's training camps for the Free Syrian Army. So it's very different to what Turkey is saying. And the decision today by the Turkish Parliament should actually be condemned. It's a violation of state sovereignty. It's a hostile, aggressive act. And I think it's important how you make reference to the no-fly zone that was enforced after the Gulf War in 1991 in northern Iraq. It was a no-fly zone put into force by the American and British governments, but it applied to everyone apart from Turkey. There were British and American fighter planes would patrol over northern Iraq, and they would pass by Turkish aircraft that were going to bomb Kurdish resistance places in northern Iraq. So the whole idea that it was a no-fly zone over northern Iraq was absolutely preposterous.
Marcus, bang up to get up to date again. You touched on it just now. Do you think Turkey's reaction to what Syria claims, and what you're saying as well, was a tragic accident, was proportionate by firing on Syrian targets for 2 days then?
It was completely disproportionate. What happened yesterday would appear to have been a tragic accident. It was an accident. There was no intent. If it was a Syrian government forces that fired the shell or a mortar, it was an accident, a terrible accident, but it was an accident. There was no intent. However, what Turkey did yesterday and this morning, there was intent. They intended to fire shells into a sovereign country. Now, that's a violation of state sovereignty and should be condemned unequivocally at the United Nations.
So the big question now, is this an isolated flare-up? Is it going to die down over the next couple of days, or could it grow into something bigger, I guess?
Oh, theoretically, because it's in the Middle East, it could certainly grow into something far, far more potent. However, as I said earlier, Turkey will be very cautious about engaging Syria in a full-blown conflict. Remember, Turkey has a sizable Kurdish population that could explode in Turkey's face should it engage Syria in a war. I think it may happen again, but I don't think Turkey and Syria will come to war over this.
Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor of Politics First in London, thanks ever so much.